day to everyone. My name is May Rosales. I was born on May 29, 2001. So basically, I am 21 years old and I live in San Isidro, Talibon, Bohol. Right at this moment, I am going to tackle and discuss about the given topics that our instructors had been provided, namely the contemporary literature, the popular literature, and emergent literature with its meaning and characteristics. Without any further ado, let me start the discussion. Before I am going to tackle the given topics, let me discuss first what is literature. Literature is a term used to describe written and sometimes spoken material, derived from the Latin word literature, meaning writing formed with letters. Literature most commonly refers to works of the creative imagination, including poetry, drama, fiction, non-fiction, and in some instances, journalism and song. In other words, literature is a body of written works. The name has traditionally been applied to those imaginative works of poetry and prose distinguished by the intentions of their authors and the perceived aesthetic excellence of their execution. Let's focus for our topic. The first topic is the contemporary literature. This video will explain some of the essential characteristics and trends of contemporary literature. Before we begin to understand that, let us briefly understand the meaning of contemporary forms of literature. The term contemporary means living the present and experiencing the happening in the present time or now. So, contemporary literature means literature that is being created in the present about the situations right now. A better understanding of contemporary literature is the literature created or written after World War II. While this vague definition provides us with a time frame from where contemporary literature begins, it is not a clear-cut definition but advocated by most academicians and scholars. Some also argue that the beginning of contemporary literature can be traced back to the 1940s as well. Contemporary literature involves pieces of literature that reflect the social and political turmoil in society. This is often shown through realistic characters and links to the ongoing events and socio-economic conditions in the world. An attempt is made to highlight the social strengths and weaknesses and remind society of some important values and virtues we seem to have forgotten in the fast-paced world. Looking at the contemporary literature is a dynamic process because society changes with time, and so do messages and the content of contemporary literature. In other words, contemporary literature is a vast group of written works produced from a specific time in history through the current age. This literary era defines a time period, but it also describes a particular style and quality of writing. Some see this period as an extension of postmodern literature, but most refer to it as literary era of its own. In connection to that, the word contemporary literature means belonging or occurring in the now, which suggests that writers after 1940 are focusing on their feelings, emotions, and societies as they were experiencing them. The writing styles can vary, but the main idea is to convey realistic characters and experiences. Contemporary literature is literature which is generally set after World War II. Subgenres of contemporary literature include contemporary romance. Writing, or more specifically contemporary literature, assists the per-users with fostering the reasonable reasoning. So when we discuss contemporary literature, we can just take two or three subjects or settings. Since society changes after time, so the substance and messages of this creation. Let's move on to the characteristics of contemporary literature. The first characteristic is personal point of view. Contemporary literature showcases and describes the social and political views of the author. The author expresses their personal opinion through the dialogue of characters and tries to link those messages with the socio-political events in the works and reality. Second, the innovative narrative resources. The narration of the post-modern or contemporary literature is quite dynamic than previous literature trends. Contemporary writers use tools like modification of time and presenting the character's inner world in their narration style to provide more insight and drama. Third is magical realism. The development of the style of magical realism is considered to be the hallmark of contemporary literature. This technique of using magical realism is revolutionary and marked by social and political character. Fourth is pressing issues. Contemporary literature often tends to revolve around pressing issues in the world, which can include racism, inequality, economic gap, corruption, mental illness, dogma, globalization, and etc. Fifth is influenced by World War II. Contemporary literature is considered the literature produced after the Second World War. Naturally, contemporary literature tends to be influenced by many themes and motifs revolving around World War II. Sixth, and probably the last characteristic of contemporary literature, is superimposition of fiction and non-fiction. The distinction between fiction and non-fiction often becomes blurry in contemporary literature. This is referred to as crosses. Fiction writers often use authentic material and information in their stories, and make many parallels to real-life events. On the other hand, non-fiction writers use dialogue and imaginary scenarios to arouse and maintain the reader's interest. The second topic is the popular literature. Popular literature in English is writing which has shown wide and continued acceptance measured by sales, frequent imitation, adaptation to other cultural forms, and general commercial success. The word popular is meant as synonym for successful, not as antonym for serious. Well-known writing incorporates those compositions expected for the general populations and those that track down favors with huge crowds. It very well may be recognized from imaginative writing in that its planned basically to engage. Popular literature includes those writings intended for the masses and those that find favor with large audiences. It can be distinguished from artistic literature in that it is designed primarily to entertain. Popular literature, unlike high literature, generally does not seek a high degree of formal beauty, of subtlety, and is not intended to endure. The growth of popular literature has paralleled the spread of literacy through education and has been facilitated by technological developments in printing. With the Industrial Revolution, works of literature which were previously produced for consumption by small, well-educated elites became accessible to large sections and even majorities of the members of population. Let's move on to the characteristics of popular literature. The first characteristic is they are driven by plot. Second, characters are stock figures who serve the plot. Third, the language will be plainer and close to common language. Fourth, dialogues in popular literature are often an everyday spoken language. 5. Fewer obscure and symbols and allegories are used. The third and probably the last topic is the emergent literature. Emergent literacy is a term that is used to explain a child's knowledge of reading and writing skills before they learn how to read and write words. It signals a belief that in literate society, young children, even 1 and 2 years old, are in the process of becoming literate. Through the support of parents, caregivers, and educators, a child can successfully progress from emergent to conventional reading. In addition to that, it fosters understudies' deceive reasoning abilities in the journey for the omnipresent 21st century skills. Phonetically, it offers understudies the chance to examine and value great language by profoundly respected scholars. The characteristics of emergent literature. The first characteristic is print motivation, being interested and enjoying books. Second, vocabulary, knowing the names of things. Third is print awareness, noticing print, knowing how to handle book, and knowing how to follow words on a page. Fourth is narrative skills, being able to describe things and events and to tell stories. Fifth is letter knowledge, understanding letters are different from each other, knowing their names and sounds, and recognizing letters everywhere. Sixth, and probably the last characteristic, is phonological awareness, being able to hear and play with the smaller sounds in words. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and listening to my video presentation.